price of essentials has increased. For example, a basket of groceries that cost $100 then now cost more than $120. And typical home prices have jumped more than 30%. What do you say to voters who feel they are worse off under your presidency than they were under President Trump?
That's as loud as it goes right now, but I'm working on it. Okay, okay? Yeah.
That's my work is to make sure I deal with those problems. And we're going to make sure that we reduce the price of housing. We're going to make sure we put the 2 million units. We make sure the cap grants support the communities that go. In addition to that, we're in a situation where if you have to look at all of the this administration, you didn't do much at all. By the time you left, it's different candidates. And so, that's why we're creating ourselves a job and make sure we're in a situation where we then provide them with prescription drugs that are major issue for $15 for insulin shot, it's $400. No secret has to be more than $200 for any drug, all drugs that we're getting next year. In a situation where we're not going to have all of them. So we're going to bring on the person on the kitchen table, and that's what we're going to do.
Thank you, President Trump.
Great minutes to come in the history of the country. We have never done so well. Everybody with management, other countries with companies who got hit with COVID. And every day we spent the money necessary so we didn't end up in the Great Depression, which we had in 1929. By the time we finished, we did a great job for the light credit, the economy, the light credit, the military, the wars, and so many other things. Everything was working good. But the thing we never got the credit for, and we should have, is getting this down to over mess. He created mandates that was a disaster for our country. Other than that, we have given them back a country where the stock market actually was higher than pre-COVID, and nobody thought that was even possible. The only jobs he created were illegal immigrants and bounce back jobs, the bounce back from COVID. He has not done a good job. He's done a good job, and inflation is killing our country. It is absolutely killing us.
Thank you, President Biden.
Well, it's the greatest economy in the world. He's the only fixing it. I don't know what else is the greatest economy. You know, the fact of the matter is that we find ourselves in a situation where his economy, he has the largest tax cut in American history, $2 trillion. There's a deficit margin of $2. He's the only president who's ever do it. That was a good job that he had. It's really good. The idea of building something else is significant in the military. He was president, you still found yourself in a position where you had militias who was safe. Truth is, the only president this century doesn't have any, this decade, done any troops or any of the world. He did.
President Trump, I want to follow up if I can. You want to respond? Well, I'm going to ask you to follow up and do whatever you want from me. I want to follow up. You want to impose a 10% tariff on all goods coming into the U.S. How will you ensure that that doesn't drive prices even more?
Not going to rely on home, it's just going to close countries that have been ripping us off for years, like China and many others that offer us in China. It's going to just force them to pay us a lot of money, reduce our deficit tremendously, and give us a lot of power for militaries. But we really said, we really as I gave you the largest tax cut in history. I also gave you the largest regulation cut in history. That's why we had all the jobs. And the jobs we were having to bounce back, and he's taking credit for bounce back jobs. You can't do that. He also said he inherited 9% inflation. he inherited almost no inflation, and it stayed that way for 14 months. And then it blew up under his leadership because they spent money like a bunch of people that didn't know what they were doing, and they don't know what they were doing. It's the worst, probably the worst administration in history. There's never been. And as far as Afghanistan is concerned, I was getting out of Afghanistan. We were getting out with dignity, with strength, with power. He got out. It was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country's life.
President Trump, over the last 8 years, under both of your administrations, the national debt soared to record highs. And according to a new nonpartisan analysis, President Trump's administration approved $8.4 trillion in new debt, while so far President Biden approved $4.3 billion in new debt. So former President Trump, many of the tax cuts that you signed into law are set to expire next year. You want to extend them and go even further, you say. With the U.S. facing trillion-dollar deficits and record debt, why should top earners and corporations pay even less in taxes than they do now?
Because the tax cuts spurred the greatest economy that we've ever seen, just prior to COVID, and even after COVID, it was so strong that we were able to get through COVID much better than just about any other country. But we spurred, the tax spurred. Now, when we cut the taxes, as an example, the corporate tax was cut down to 21% from 39%, plus beyond that, we took in more revenue with much less tax. And companies were bringing back trillions of dollars back into our country. The country was growing like never before. And we were ready to start paying down debt. We were ready to start using the liquid gold right under our feet, the oil and gas right under our feet. We were going to have something that nobody else has had. We got hit with COVID. We did a lot to fix it. I gave them an unbelievable situation. We had ordered the therapeutics and all of the things
Y bueno, para ustedes que se han conectado aquí al debate presidencial, aquí estamos en Filadelfia. Y un poco lo que dicen.
in his administration. The vaccine went out, he did a mandate on the vaccine, which is the thing that people most object to about the vaccine. And he did a very good job, just a very good job. The entire world no longer respect us as a country. They don't respect our leadership. They don't respect the United States anymore.
Bueno, y más que nada, bueno, el presidente, como siempre, presidente Trump, tirando, bueno, pues burlas y todo lo que ha hecho con este país.
He had the largest national demand number two. He had $2 trillion tax cut, very well. I remember in Swiss, Texas, for example, we have 1,000 trillion. What's happened? We're in a situation where they in fact pay 8.2% taxes. If they just paid 23%, 25%, even and they invest $500 billion in 10 years. We've been worried about his debt, we've been make sure we all those things we need to do, child care, other care, making sure we continue to strengthen the healthcare system, making sure that we're able to run every single side of the person eligible for the
Thank you, President Trump.
We already did beat Medicare, beat it to death, but it's destroying Medicare. Because all of these people are coming in, they're putting them on Medicare, they're putting them on Social Security, they're going to destroy Social Security. This man is going to single-handedly destroy Social Security. These millions and millions of people coming in, he's trying to put them on Social Security.
Bueno, y como ya es de costumbre del presidente Trump, echándole la culpa siempre a las personas que están llegando a este país, que
In the last 4 years is not to be believed. Foreign countries, I'm friends with a lot of people. They cannot believe what happened to the United States that we no longer respect it. they don't like us, we give them everything they want, and they think we're stupid, they think we're stupid people. What we're doing for other countries, and they do nothing for us. What this man has done is absolutely criminal.
Bueno, diciéndole que lo que ha hecho el presidente Biden es algo criminal. Y bueno, como siempre, ya es la costumbre de Trump echarle la culpa a las personas que llegan de otro país. Que le dan todo y que, pues, ¿por qué van a hacer algo por ellos mientras que ellos no dan nada para este país?
They're used in about 2/3 of all abortions. As president, would you block abortion medication?
First of all, the Supreme Court just approved the abortion bill, and I agree with their decision to have done that, and I will not block it. And if you look at this whole question that you're asking, it's complex, but not really complex. 51 years ago, you had Roe v. Wade, and everybody wanted to get it back to the states, everybody, without exception. Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservatives, everybody wanted it back, religious leaders. And what I did is I put 3 great Supreme Court justices on the court, and they happened to vote in favor of killing Roe v. Wade and moving it back to the states. This is something that everybody wanted. Now, 10 years ago, they started talking about how many weeks and how many this, getting into other things, but every legal scholar throughout the world, the most respected, wanted it brought back to the states. I did that. Now the states are working it out. If you look at Ohio, it was a decision that was an end result. It was a little bit more liberal than you would have thought. Kansas, I would say the same thing. Texas is different, Florida is different, but they're all making their own decisions right now. And right now, the states control it. That's the vote of the people. Like Ronald Reagan, I believe in the exceptions. I am a person that believes. And frankly, I think it's important to believe in the exceptions. Some people, you have to follow your heart. Some people don't believe in that. But I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and the life of the mother. I think it's very important. Some people don't follow your heart, but you have to get elected also. And because that has to do with other things, you got to get elected. The problem they have is they're radical because they will take the life of a child in the 8th month, the 9th month, and even after birth.
Y bueno, ahora está hablando sobre el tema de la ley del aborto y bueno, pues le está echando la culpa al presidente Biden, que está asesinando a los bebés. El presidente está a favor.
The fact is that the vast majority of constitutional scholars support Roe support Roe. That's this idea that they're all against it is just ridiculous. And this is the guy who said the state should be able to have it. For a state, within 6 weeks, you don't know if you're pregnant or not, you cannot see a doctor ahead and have kids decide on what your circumstances are in your health. The idea that states are able to do this is a little like saying we're going to turn civil rights back to the states. That each state have a different rule. But there's so many young women, including a young woman who just was murdered, and he went to the funeral. The idea that she was murdered by an immigrant coming in. To talk about that. Here's the deal. There's a lot of young women who were raped by their in-laws, by their spouses, brothers and sisters. It's just ridiculous. And they can do nothing about it. And they try to wrestle them across state lines.
Thank you.
There have been many young women murdered by the same people he allows to come across our border. The border is the most dangerous place anywhere in the world, considered the most dangerous place anywhere in the world. And he opened it up, and these killers are coming into our country.
Que él abre las fronteras para que entre estos asesinos a matar a nuestras mujeres y a nuestros hijos.
In many cases, it's actually a very liberal decision. In many cases, it's the opposite. But they're voting, and it's bringing it back to the vote of the people, which is what everybody wanted, including the founders, if they knew about this issue. Which everybody wanted to vote back. Everybody wanted to vote back and wasn't able to get it. Everybody wanted to vote back, and many presidents had tried to get it back. I was going to do it. And again, this gives it the vote of the people, and that's what they wanted. Every legal scholar wanted it that way.
Staying on the topic of abortion, President Biden, 7 states, I'll let you do that, this is the same topic. 7 states have no legal restrictions on how far into a pregnancy a woman can obtain an abortion. Do you support any legal limits on how late a woman should be able to terminate a pregnancy?
I support Roe v. Wade, which had 3 time limits. First time between the woman and the doctor. Second time between the doctor and an extreme situation. The third time between the doctor, between the woman and the state. The idea that politicians, the founding of politicians, to be the ones making decisions on women's health is ridiculous. That's the last one. No politician should make that decision. A doctor should make that decision. That's how it should be run. That's what should be done. And if I'm elected, I'm going to restore Roe v. Wade.
And even after birth. Again, because I told you I wanted to hear you. Maybe they always what to do with it. So he's willing to say, rip the baby out of the womb for 9 months. Nobody wants it to happen.
That's simply not true. That Roe v. Wade does not provide for that. That's not the circumstance. Only when one's life is in danger, she's going to die. That's the only circumstance which that can happen. But we are not for late-term abortion, period. Period.
The Roe v. Wade, you have late-term abortion. You can do whatever you want, depending on the state, you can do whatever you want. We don't think that's a good thing, we think it's a radical thing. We think the Democrats are the radicals, not the Republicans.
51 years that was involved. 51 years Constitutional Scholarship said it was the right way to go. 51 years, and it was taken away because this guy became very conservative members on the Supreme Court. That's the MAGA Republicans, he gets elected, and the MAGA Republicans control the Congress, and they pass a universal ban on abortion, period, across the board, at 6 weeks or 7 or 8 or 10 weeks, something very, very conservative. Is he going to sign that bill? I'll veto it. Yes.
States, overburdening cities such as New York and Chicago, and in some cases causing real safety and security concerns. Given that, why should voters trust you to solve this crisis?
Because we worked very hard to get a bipartisan agreement that not only changed all that, but made sure that we are in a situation where you had no circumstance where they could come across the border with the number of abortions police right now. We significantly increased the number of asylums, significantly the Border Patrol endorsed me, endorsed my position. In addition to that, we found ourselves in a situation where when he was president, he was separating babies from their mothers, putting them in cages, making sure that the families were separated. That's not the better way to go. What I've done since I've changed the law, what's happened? I've changed it in a way that now we're in a situation where 40% fewer people coming across the border agreement, it's better than he left office. And I'm going to continue to move to get the total ban, the total initiative relative to more border patrol, asylums.
I would have already said in the lessons, we're the safest border in the history of our country. But what we have to do is something. We decided to open up our border, open up our country to people that are from prisons, people that are from mental institutions, insane asylum, terrorists. We have the largest number of terrorists coming to our country right now, all terrorists, all over the world, not just in South Africa, all over the world. And this guy just left it open, and he didn't need legislation, because I didn't have legislation. I said, close the border. We have the safest border in history. In that final couple of months of my presidency, we had, according to Border Patrol, who was great, and by the way, who endorsed me for president, but I won't say that. We have the safest border in history. Now we have the worst border in history. There's never been anything like it. And people are dying all over the place, including the people that are coming out illegally.
President Biden.
The only terrorist who done anything across the border is one who came along and killed 3 in his administration, killed Al-Qaeda, a person committed in his administration, killed 3 American soldiers, killed 3 American soldiers. That's the only terrorist is there. I'm not saying that no terrorists are out there, but the idea they're not giving a prison for the welcome you. As civil country, there's no data to support what he said. Once again, he's exaggerating, he's lying.
You said you're going to carry out, quote, the largest domestic deportation operation in American history, unquote. Does that mean that you will deport every undocumented immigrant in America, including those who have jobs, including those whose spouses are citizens, and including those who have lived here for decades? And if so, how will you?
And just 1 second, you said we killed 3 people. The people we killed are al-Baghdadi and Soleimani, the 2 greatest terrorists, biggest terrorists anywhere in the world, and it had a huge impact on everything, not just border, on everything. He's the one that killed people with a bad one, including hundreds of thousands of people dying, and also killing our citizens when they come in. We are living right now in a rat's nest. They're killing our people in New York, in California, and every state in the union, because we don't have borders anymore. Every state is now a border. And because of his ridiculous, insane, and very stupid policies, people are coming in and they're killing our citizens at a level we've never seen. We call it migrant crime. I call it migrant crime. They're killing our citizens at a level we've never seen before. And you're reading it like these 3 incredible young girls over the last few days. One of them had just spoke to the mother. And he just had the funeral for this girl, 12 years old. This is horrible what's taking place. What's taking place in our country, we're literally an uncivilized country now. He doesn't know. He opened the borders, nobody's ever seen anything like it. And we have to get a lot of these people out, and we have to get them out fast, because they're going to destroy our country. Just take a look at where they're living. They're living in luxury hotels in New York City and other places. Our veterans are on the street, they're dying, because he doesn't care about our veterans. He doesn't care about our veterans. I have the highest approval rating for veterans taking care of the VA. He has the worst. He's gotten rid of all the things that I approved, choice, I got through Congress, all the things I approved. They abandoned it. We had by far the highest, and now it's down to less than half, because he's done all these great things that we did. And I think he did it just because I approved it, which is crazy. He's killed so many people at our border by now. All of these people come in. And it's a very sad day.
Every single thing he says is a lie. $1 billion of them now have insurance and their families have. Their families have, because what happened, whether it was Agent Orange or burn pits, they're all being covered now. And he opposed this, we proposed that. We're also in a situation where we have great respect for veterans. My son spent a year in Iraq, living one next door to the burn pits, came back with stage 4 glioblastoma. I was recently in France for D-Day, and I spoke about those heroes that died. I went to the World War II cemetery, World War I cemetery, we refused to go to them. We stayed in this 4-star general, and he told me, he said, I don't want to go there because they're not going to lose them as suckers. My son is not a sucker, you're a sucker, you're the worst.
He made that up. He put it in commercials. We notified. We had 19 people that said it in his head. I think it is. Who would say, I'm in a cemetery, but I'm talking about our veterans? Because nobody's taking better care. I'm so glad this came up. And he brought it up. There's nobody that's taken better care of our soldiers than I have. I can confirm generals and others say, suckers and losers. We have 19 people that said it was never said by me. It was made up by him, just like Russia was made up, just like the 51 intelligence agents are made up, just like the new thing with the 16 economists are talking. It's the same thing. 51 intelligence agents said that the laptop was Russian disinformation. It wasn't. That came from his son, Hunter.
Said you said, period. That's number one. And number two, the idea of I have to apologize to you for anything along the line. We've done more for veterans than any president has in American history. And they now are their family. The only separate obligation we have as a country is to care for our veterans when they come home and their families and equip them when they go to war. That's what we're doing. That's what the VA is doing now. We're doing more for veterans than ever before.
Thank you so much.
After foreign policy, I want to begin with Russia's war against Ukraine, which is now in its third year. Former President Trump, Russian President Vladimir Putin says he'll only end this war if Russia keeps the Ukrainian territory it has already claimed and Ukraine abandons its bid to join NATO. Are Putin's terms acceptable to you?
First of all, our veterans and our soldiers can't stand it. They can't stand it. They think he's the worst commander-in-chief, and that's what you call him, that we've ever had. They can't stand it. So let's get that straight. And they like me more than just about any of them. That's basically every single we had a real president, the president that was respected by Putin. He would have never invaded Ukraine. They talk about numbers, you could double those numbers, maybe triple those numbers. He did nothing to stop it. In fact, I think he encouraged Russia. I was so mad with Afghanistan. It was such a horrible, embarrassing, most embarrassing moment in the history of country that would even watch that, and he saw the incompetence, and he should have fired those generals like I fired the one that you mentioned. So he's got no love lost. But he should have fired all those generals. No general got fired for the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, Afghanistan, where we left billions of dollars of equipment behind. We lost 13 beautiful soldiers, and 38 soldiers were obliterated. And by the way, we left people behind too. We left American citizens behind. When Putin saw that, he said, you know what? I think we're going to go in and maybe take this is dream. I talked to him about his dream. The difference is he never would have invaded Ukraine. Never. Just like Israel would have never been invaded. In a million years by Hamas. You know why? Because Iran was broke with me. I wouldn't let anybody do business with them. They ran out of money. They were broke. They had no money for Hamas. They had no money for anything. No money for terror. That's why you had no terror at all during my administration. This place, the whole world is blowing up under him.
Iran attacked American troops, killed and great damage for a number of his troops, and he did nothing about it. Recently, when he was president, every day attacked. He said they're just cybernetics. That's all it is. He didn't do a thing when the attack took place in Iran. Number two, we got over 100,000 Americans banned almost out of Afghanistan during that area. Number three, we found ourselves in a situation where if you take a look at what Trump did in Ukraine, this guy told Trump, do whatever you want, do whatever you want. And that's exactly what Trump did. Encourage him, do whatever you want. And he went in. Listen to what he said for a minute. We're going to take Kyiv 5 days, remember? It's part of the old Soviet Union. That's what he wanted to reestablish. Kyiv. And he, in fact, didn't do it at all. He didn't do anything to get it done. And they lost thousands and thousands of troops, 500,000 troops.
President Trump,
I never said that.
For a minute, I just wanted to go back to my original question, which is, are Putin's terms acceptable to you? He can territory Ukraine.
But look, this is a war that never should have started. We're not a leader in this war. He led everybody along. He's given $200 billion now or more to Ukraine. He's given $200 billion. That's a lot of money. I don't think there's ever been anything like it. Every time that Zelensky comes to this country, he walks away with $60 billion. It's the greatest salesman ever. I'm not knocking him. I'm not knocking anything. I'm only saying the money that we're spending in this war, and we shouldn't be spending, it should have never happened. I will have that war settled between Putin and Zelensky as president-elect before I take office on January 20th. So stupidly, And I will get it settled, and I'll get it settled fast before I take office.
The fact is that Putin's a war criminal. He's killed thousands and thousands of people. And he has made one thing clear. He wants to reestablish what was part of the Soviet Empire. Not just a piece, he wants all of Ukraine. That's what he wants. And then you think you stop there? You think you stop when you take Ukraine? What do you think happens to Poland? What do you think happens to those native countries? And so if we want a war, we ought to find out what he's going to do, because if in fact he does what he says and walks away, by the way, all that money we give Ukraine, weapons we make here in the United States, we give them the weapons, not the money at this point. And the NATO allies have produced as much funding for Ukraine as we have. That's why we're strong.
Thank you. Moving on to the Middle East. In October, Hamas attacked Israel, killing more than 1,000 people and taking hundreds of hostages. Among those held and thought to still be alive are 5 Americans. Israel's response has killed thousands of Palestinians and created a humanitarian crisis in Gaza. President Biden, you've put forward a proposal to resolve this conflict, but so far Hamas has not released the remaining hostages, and Israel is continuing its military offensive in Gaza. So what additional leverage will you use to get Hamas and Israel to end the war? You have 2 minutes.
Number one, everyone from the United Nations Security Council, straight through the G7, to the Israelis and Netanyahu himself have endorsed the plan before. Which is 3 stages to it. The first stage is we treat the hostages for a ceasefire. Second phase is a ceasefire with additional conditions. The third phase is the end of the war. Only one wants the war to continue as wants. We don't want to stand there. We're still pushing hard to get them to accept. In the meantime, what's happened in Israel? We find the only thing I denied Israel was 2,000-pound bombs. They don't work very well, probably in an area. They kill a lot of innocent people. We provided Israel with all the weapons they need and when they need them. And by the way, I'm the guy that organized the world against Iran when they had a full-blown intercontinental ballistic missile attack on Israel. No one was hurt. No one Israel was accidentally killed, and it was stopped. We saved Israel. We are our biggest producer. The support for Israel of anyone in the world. And so those are 2 different things. Hamas cannot allow to continue. If we continue to send our experts and our young people, so how do we get Hamas like we did that now? We don't have to do it. And by the way, they're greatly weakened Hamas. Greatly weakened, and they should be eliminated. But you've got to be careful for using certain weapons among population centers.
Let's go back to Ukraine for 1 second. We have an ocean separating us. The European nations together have spent $100 billion, or maybe more than that, less than us. Why doesn't he call them, so you gotta put up your money like I did with NATO? I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars. The Secretary General of NATO said Trump did the most incredible job I've ever seen. They got many people in that business. We were spending almost 100% of the money that was paid by us. He didn't do that. He's getting more. You got to ask these people to put up their money. We're over $100 billion more spent, and it has a bigger impact on them because of location, because we have an ocean in between. You got to ask them. As far as Israel and Hamas, Israel's the one who wants to go. He said the only one who wants to keep going is Hamas. Actually, Israel is the one, and you should let him go and let him finish the job. He doesn't want to do it. He's become like a Palestinian, but they don't like him because he's a really bad Palestinian. He's the weak one.
President Biden, you have a minute.
Remember some sources. This is a guy who wants to get out of NATO. You understand NATO? You pull out of NATO. The idea that we have our strength lies in our alliances with Russia. Maybe a big ocean. We're able to avoid war in it, and Europe, major war in Europe. What happens if, in fact, we continue to go in NATO? We have an Article 5 agreement. Attack on one is attack on all. If you want to start the nuclear war he keeps talking about, go ahead. Let Putin go in and control Ukraine, and then we'll go on to all of the other places. It's just happens then. He has no idea what the hell he's talking about. To support Ukraine, to be Japan and South Korea, because they understand that this kind of dislocation is a serious threat to the whole world peace. No major war in Europe has ever been able to be contained just to Europe.
President Trump, just to follow up, would you support the creation of an independent Palestinian state in order to achieve peace in the region?
I have to see, but before we do that, the problem we have is that we spend all the money. So they kill us on trade and make great trade deals with the European nations. Because if you add them up, they're about the same size economically. Their economy is about the same size as the United States. And they were no cars, they don't want anything that we have. But we're supposed to take their cars, their food, their everything, their agriculture. I changed that. But the big thing I changed is they weren't paid. And the only reason that he can play games with NATO is because I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars. I said, and he's right about this, I said, no, I'm not going to support NATO if we don't pay. They asked me that question, would you guard us against Russia? At a very secret meeting of the 28 states at that time, the nations at that time. And they said, no, if you don't pay, I will do that. And you know what happened? Billions and billions of dollars came flowing in the next day and the next month. But now we're in the same position. We're paying everybody's bills.
Let's turn to the issue of democracy. For President Trump, I want to ask you about January 6, 2021. That day. Some of them stormed the Capitol to stop the constitutionally mandated counting of electoral votes. As president, you swore an oath to, quote, preserve, protect, and defend, unquote, the Constitution. What do you say to voters who believe that you violated that oath through your actions and inaction on January 6th and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I don't think too many believe that. And let me tell you about January 6th. On January 6th, we had a great border. Nobody coming through. January 6th, we had the lowest taxes ever. We had the lowest regulations ever. On January 6th, we were all over the world. All over the world, we're respected. And we're not laughed at. We're like a bunch of stupid people. But what happened to the United States' reputation under this man's leadership is horrible, including weaponization, which I'm sort of talking about. But he was asking his political opponent because he can't beat him fair and square.
You have 80 seconds left. My question was, and worry that you'll do it again.
Well, I didn't say that to anybody. I said peacefully and patriotically. I just watched the news from 2 days ago. One tape to her daughter, who was a documentary filmmaker, they said. But she's saying, oh, no, it's my responsibility, I was responsible for this. Because I worked for 10,000 soldiers or National Guard. And she turned it down, and the mayor, in writing, by the way, the mayor, in writing, turned it down, the mayor of DC. They turned it down. I worked for 10,000 because I could see, I had virtually nothing to do. They asked me to go make a speech. I was going to be there, but January 6th, I'm going to be there. And I said, you know what? I said, I'll be there, Governor. I can feel it. You can feel it too, and we can feel it. And I said, we gotta have some National Guard or whatever. And I offered to her, and she now admits that she turned it down. And it was the same day she was, I don't know, she can't be very happy with her daughter because it made her to a liar. She said, I take full responsibility for January 6th.
He encourages us to speak. Thank you. I sat in the dining room of the office. She sat there for 3 hours.
Yes.
3 hours watching, being paid by his vice president and a number of his colleagues on the Republican side as well to do something, call for a stop, to end it. Instead, he talked to the few patriots and great patron of America. In fact, he says he will not forgive them for what they've done. And they've been convicted. He says he wants to commit their sentences and say that, he went to every single court in the nation, I don't know how many cases, scores of cases, including the Supreme Court. And they said, no, this guy is responsible for doing what was done. He didn't do a damn thing. And these people should be in jail. And they should be held accountable. He wants to let them all out, and now he says that he loses again, such a whiner that he is.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
What they've done to some people that are so innocent You destroy the lives of so many people. When they ripped down Portland, when they ripped down many other cities, Minnesota, Minneapolis, what they've done there, with the fires all over the city, if I didn't bring in the National Guard, that city would have been destroyed. When you look at all of it, they took over big chunks of Seattle. I was all set to bring in the National Guard. They heard that, they saw them coming, and they left immediately. What he said about this whole subject is so peacefully different. One of the things, the unselect committee, which is basically two powerful Republicans that are all gone now, and Democrats, all Democrats, they destroyed and deleted all of the information because they found out we were right. Oh my God. And they deleted and destroyed all of the information. They should go to jail. If a Republican did that, they'd go to jail.
Thank you, President. President Biden, I'll give you a minute.
One of the frustrating stages of convicted felons is that there is no effort on this point to stop what's going on in Capitol. And all of those people, everyone who's been convicted deserves to be convicted. The idea that they didn't kill somebody just went in and broke down doors, broke the windows, occupied offices, turned over desks, turned over statues. The idea that those people are patriots, come on. When I asked him those first two debates we had, the debates we had the first time around, I said, will you denounce the Proud Boy? He said, no, I'll tell them to stand by. Wow. The idea he's refusing to do, will you denounce these guys? Will you denounce the people we're talking about now? Will you denounce the people who attack that crowd? What are you going to do?
I'm going to give you a minute, President Trump, for a follow-up question I have. After a jury convicted you of 34 felonies last month, you said after you would, quote, have every right to go after your political opponents. You just talked about members of the select committee on January 6th going to jail. But your main political opponent is standing on stage with you tonight. Can you clarify exactly what it means about feeling you have every right to go after your political opponents?
Well, I said my retribution is going to be success when we make this country. My retribution is going to be success. Well, when he talks about a convicted felon, his son is a convicted felon. Numerous other times. Should have been convicted before, but his Justice Department, that the statute of limitations lapsed, and he must have worked with that. But he can be a convicted felon as soon as he gets out of office. Joe can be a convicted felon. Horrible things. All of the death throes at the border. Telling the Ukrainian people that we didn't want $1 billion, you could change the prosecutor, otherwise you're not getting $1 billion, and people said that. That's pretty powerful. We're not going to do anything, we're not going to give $1 billion unless you change your prosecutor, having to do for the son. This man is a criminal. This man, we love you. I did nothing wrong. We have a system that is really disgusting. I did nothing wrong.
Thank you. He did nothing wrong.
The idea that I did anything wrong relative to what you talk about is outrageous. It's simply a lie, number one. Number two, the idea that you have a right to seek retribution against any member just because you're president is wrong. It's simply wrong. No president's ever spoken like that. No president, no history. Number three, the crimes that you are still charged with. You think of all the small penalties. How many billions of dollars do you need for molesting a woman in public?
I didn't have sex with a woman. That case is going to be clear. We had a very terrible judge. He basically went after his political opponent because he thought it was going to damage me. But when the public found out about these cases, because they understand it better than he does, he has no idea what these cases are. But when they found out about these cases, you know what they did? My poll numbers went up way up, you know that, because you're reporting it. And we took more money in the last 2 weeks than we've ever taken in the history of any campaign. I don't think any campaign has ever taken hundreds of millions of dollars they brought in because the public knows it's a scam, and it's a guy that's after his political opponent because he can't win fair and square.
Thank you, President.
Oh, my God.
I said, quote, Donald Trump and his MAGA Republicans are determined to destroy American democracy. Do you believe that the tens of millions of Americans who are likely to vote for President Trump will be voting against American democracy?
The more they know about what he's done, yes. The more they know about what he's done. And he's not more crooked. He's got a lot of cases now more crooked. He's got a whole range of issues he has to face. I don't know what the juries will do, but I do know he has a real problem. And so the fact that, because you ever think you hear any president say that I'm going to seek retribution? You ever hear any president say that I thought he had some good ideas? What got me involved around the first twist after I said, God, I decided in Iraq, I said I wasn't going to run again. Until I saw what happened in Charlottesville, Virginia. People coming out of the woods carrying swastikas on torches, and singing the same innocent choir they sang when we were back in Germany. And the young woman I spoke to London, and they asked him, they said, what do you think of those people? The people, the ones that got killed, the one who tried to stop them, and the one they said, I think they're fine people who post what American president would ever say? Nazis coming out of fields, carrying torches, singing the same innocent choir, carrying swastikas. This little guy says Hitler's done some good things. That's not what they are. Good things Hitler's done, that's what he said. This guy has no sense of their democracy.
Yeah, both of you know that story's been totally wiped out. Because when you said 100% exoneration of this, so he just keeps it on. He says he ran because of Charlottesville. He didn't run because of Charlottesville. He ran because it was his last chance. He's not equipped to be president. You know that, and I know it's ridiculous. You're trying to justify his presidency. His presidency, he's without question the worst president, the worst presidency in the history of our country. We shouldn't be having a debate about it. There's nothing to debate. He made up the Charlottesville story. And he was it's a nonsense story. He knows that, and he didn't want to because of Charlotte, so he always has an excuse to run.
It happened. All you have to do is listen to what was said at the time. And the idea that somehow that's the only reason I ran